This video will show you how to move through the delay process with the law of attraction. I'm going to share with you ways of navigating through it so that you're really able to be who you prefer to be and attract what you want. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be speaking to you about the delay process with the law of attraction, how to move through it, some tips, techniques, and some mindsets that I've used to really expand my awareness of the process and how I can integrate with it. Now, understand first off, this is something I say in a lot of videos, that the world, the outside world, is a reflection of our inside world, of the meaning that we attribute to certain things in our life. And that if we want anything on the external to change, we must first change. So when this happens, when we change on the inside, maybe the meanings as to what things mean, maybe when we change a definition that is kind of controlling our life experience, and understand our definitions are very powerful. When we change those, there is a delay process to when we are able to perceive that change on the external. Now, the thing is what a lot of people do, what I did for a very long time, is I expected results immediately. However, there is a certain momentum of energy from how we were in the past. Many times we may have years of patterns being built up. So when we go to change gears, it's almost like that old tire is still spinning. So imagine the momentum of something. Imagine that you have maybe a tire that's spinning on a bike. Like you pick up the bike and you spin it. The idea is that even though you might stop fueling the spin, you might stop going like this to the tire, there will be some momentum that continues to go from the prior fuel that you were putting into it. Now, in the same way, what happens is we have certain thoughts that are perpetuated. We have certain habits that are extensions of those thoughts. Therefore, there is a certain momentum that has happened from our past identity, from our past thought patterns. So the key to this is to not look to the outside for the inside change and to simply trust the process. Now, this means that what we can begin to do is to go more inwards and to understand the law of attraction process at a deeper level. And that means also that the other side of this is not having expectations as to how we think things need to be happening. To how we think things need to be happening. And this means that we don't try to control it from just the ego perspective. Become aware that there are expanded point of view perspectives. There are many of those, and that when we become too locked into the ego, too locked into how we think things need to happen, that's when we start to create resistance, because there's a blueprint in our mind that says this is how things need to happen, and if it's not happening in the time sequence that we think it should happen, we feel resistance, and that feeling of resistance will then stop. It will then put on longer of a delay of those things being perceived. Now, I've used this analogy many times, but imagine that the mirror you are looking at, the mirror reflection, that is the external reality. That we know that it seems funny if we were to go over to the mirror reflection and try to change the expression on our face. But if we simply decide to change our reflection, if we decide to change our expression on our face, we have trust that that mirror reflection will change. And the moment we become attached and we assume that it has to happen in a certain way is the moment we start to really, give up that trust. We must just know that that's the way reality works. As long as we focus on trust that it will happen the right way, as long as we don't try to go over and change the external reality, we first change ourselves and how we relate to that external reality, that's when we begin to gain our power back, and that's when things really begin to change. Now, I've also been looking into this other aspect of understanding the law of attraction at a deeper level, and it has to do with what is called importance. I've been reading a book called Reality Transurfing. It's kind of an esoteric book. It's written by a quantum physicist in Russia, just recently been transferred to and translated to a whole bunch of different languages, now English. So I've been reading it. It's kind of advanced, but I kind of like to digest this information because it really resonates with me. It's understanding that anything we give what is called excess potential, anything that we give too much importance, we then have balancing factors that come into play that balance that out. So for example, if there's a certain person you want to attract in your life and you're focused on attracting that person, if you're giving it too much meaning and you're giving it on a pedestal, the idea is you distance yourself from it and you get less likely that you experience it because balancing factors come into place to balance that out. Now, this also has to do with desire. So think about it from the form of desire. Desire does not create manifestation. Desire may increase intention, but it doesn't actually help the process because desire says, I don't currently have that which I want. So right now, I've used this analogy before, but right now if I desire to put up my hand, that does nothing. But the moment that that desire transfers into an intention, and I intend to put up my hand or my arm, that is a totally different thing. So understand this process in the form of the delay by understanding your part of the process and not making things on a pedestal, not putting them on a pedestal, not making things more important than they are. And that's why what I've been recommending to people is for people to create from a more neutral point of view, from a point of choice. You don't have ability and power over the outside. You always have the ability to control how you respond to the outside, and that, paradoxically enough, controls the outside. So it's almost like a double paradox, but it's something that's very powerful. But at the same time, create from a more neutral point of view. This is an expanded level of consciousness. This is where you realize you really have the choice over how you respond to everything, and because you can manage yourself in that way, you can then create and, in a way, control the outside environment. So you do this by having a more neutral point of view, by observing your thoughts rather than reacting, and by having a more settled peacefulness about what you want to create versus trying to go out there and jolt yourself with the next best thing. Trying to, if you were to think right now about manifesting maybe $1 million, it might not be something you can really connect to because it's so far outside from where you currently are. And maybe you are there, but the idea is then $10 million, whatever it is. The idea is it must become something that's kind of your natural state of being. When you start to see it and you start to create from that energy, it's a very powerful thing because you will start to upgrade yourself along the process, which is why what I recommend to people is to not have the outcome, have that maybe in the background, but not to be focused on that every single day. Do not focus on maybe if your goal is to become a millionaire and you're making $50,000 a year, don't keep incessantly thinking about that. Think more about the process. What steps can you take today that can get you closer? Those are things that you can intend for, those are things you can act on, but you probably have no idea how you're gonna get from $50,000 a year to $1 million in just that short amount of time, and you don't believe that you could do it in the next like 5 days. So the idea is to make it more about the process, to trust the process, to understand that as you don't make it so important, as you make it more of just something that's very neutral, you learn to observe your thoughts rather than react, that then from that point of view, you can simply trust that the mere reflection will give you what you want because you are controlling more of your inner state of being and how you respond to the outer. Realize that there's a certain momentum that's been built up from past years and past thoughts and past habits, and that when you start to trust that, everything begins to change. Now, of course, the other part of this is something I talk about a lot. It's understanding our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind runs a good percentage of our life. When we become aware of that, what we can begin to do is do certain hacks that reprogram our subconscious mind to attain what we want. So that's why I've created a free MP3 guided meditation that you can listen to every single day. It's something people have been having amazing results with. It's something I've decided to give away for free. You could download that in the description box below. I recommend you listen to it for about 21 days, about 3 weeks to really start to see and feel results. It'll allow you to change your self-image, which is an important part of this process. Many times times people will see that delay with the law of attraction, and they're not changing their self-image, so therefore they're keeping subconscious factors into place. So you can change your subconscious mind by listening to that meditation. It's in the description box below. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification gear next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily videos that I do. And other than that, as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.